Hey, welcome back to the studio. We are back again with another video featuring my 1963 Fender Deluxe non-reverb 1972 Tele. If you watched my last video, you saw that we did a test where I completely retubed the amp with NOS tubes. And we're trying to see, okay, how much of an impact does that have on the tone? You can make your own conclusions. To my ears, not a huge difference. Maybe a little bit more reliable, maybe a little bit smoother, but not a huge difference. However, today we're going to do another mod that I think is going to make a really big impact, or at least I hope so. So when this amp came to me, I bought it off of Marketplace from an older guy. He seemed like he mainly played acoustic guitar, also didn't really know what it was. And this amp came to me with a realistic brand speaker. I looked it up, probably from the early 70s, but who knows. So I figure that the original speaker in this amp, which I think would have been either an Oxford or a Jensen, and I'm sure that people in the comments will correct me, was probably blown a long time ago and was replaced with something that was just around. So today, what I have got is a Weber replacement speaker. So what do we have here? This is model 12F125 30 watts 8 ohm speaker. So I'm really curious to see what this does for this amp. I have a feeling that we're going to get a little bit more high end, maybe a little bit more smoothness, maybe a little bit more sparkle, maybe louder, but also it's still only a 30 watt speaker. So let's find out. All right, so to really get a sense for what this amp sounds like, go watch my other video. We've got tons of sound clips of what this thing sounded like. So I'm not going to play too much here. Right now I've got the amp on about 3, trebles on 6.5, basses on 4. And like you heard in the intro, drop my pick. That's kind of what it sounds like. Here, before we move on, I'll just strum a few chords on my ES330 as well. Okay, and now we have 1967 ES330, all stock, P90 pickups, volume and tone on 10. This is what it sounds like. So, obviously it's darker than the Tele, a little bit fatter, a little bit thicker. This is just a fantastic sounding guitar. So once we do the speaker swap, I'm going to do the same kind of thing, strum some chords, see what that sounds like. Okay, let's do the speaker swap. So it turns out that you can't actually take the speaker out without taking out the chassis because the transformer is right in the way. So I just thought that since I've got it open, take a look at the guts of this thing. And as I say, as far as I know, and it looks like it, it is all original on the inside, which is pretty cool for an amp that's this old. Like, look at those. Look at those. They don't make stuff like that anymore. Very cool. But as you can see, couldn't get those 2 bolts out at the top without taking out the whole chassis. And this is what we're dealing with here. Cool stuff. And there she is. Kind of an interesting design on this. This big thingamawhat's in the middle. And yeah, you can see it's all out. Cool. Let's get the new one in. All right, and we've got the connections all soldered on there. Looks like it's pretty solid. I just put some tin foil there so I don't drip any solder on the coil. And we're good to put it all back together. All right, and we are back. That took longer than I thought it was going to. Fun fact, it turns out that if you get all the tools that you need before you start doing the job, it actually goes way more smoothly and more efficiently. Who knew? Okay, I haven't turned this on, or it's turned on, but I haven't played through it at all. So the reaction that you are going to see is live, direct, and authentic as anything on the internet can be, of course. So let's see. Just a big E chord and get some initial thoughts. Also, I did try my best not to move anything, but I had to take the chassis out of the amp. I didn't move the cabinet. I did have to move the mic a little bit, but it should be all exactly as it was. And it looks like I didn't turn the knobs either, so it looks like we're good. Wow, okay, that is quite a difference. The tubes didn't do very much at all, but that's a significant difference. I hear definitely more clarity, a little bit more brightness, but also like there's a fullness in the bottom end there that's really nice. It also sounds really nice and round. Like that's what a Fender blackface amp is supposed to sound like. I don't know what that little hiccup is. I hope that's the guitar, not the amp. Obligatory dad blues licks. I mean, that sounds pretty dang good. All right, let's switch guitars real quick. Okay, so we are back with the 1967 ES330. Same thing. And again, this is with the amp on about 3, so still not like clean, but that's doing something. That's definitely doing something. Okay, let's turn the amp up to 5, see what we get. Wow, I always found that the amp had a little bit of harshness, and I think a lot of that is gone. It sounds fuller. It's maybe a little louder, but like in a really good way. Okay, let's crank it up all the way, and then let's go back to the telly, see what we get. Okay, amp on 10. God, I love how this hollow body guitar feedbacks. Okay, let's go to the telly, see what we get. Things that I'm looking for Is the high end harsh? Is it a little smoother? Is it rounder? I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, this is Telecaster cranked all the way up. What do we get? I mean, it's definitely bright. That's what you want. It's what you expect. But I think it definitely sounds a little bit more refined than the realistic speaker. It sounds awesome. It sounds awesome in the room. Okay, let's go back to 5 on the volume. See what we get. Aha. Now there's your problem. I mean, I don't think I need to say anything else. Like that's made an enormous difference in the sound. It's like brighter without being as harsh. It's got a fullness. The bottom end is really nice. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm very happy with that. I will say the speaker was used, but the guy told me he only had a few hours on it. So it definitely hasn't broken in all the way. It definitely hasn't broken in all the way, and it'll probably continue to sort of round out as I play it a little bit more. But I would say mission accomplished. So very happy with that. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you want to leave a like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you think. Do you think that this is a worthwhile change? Do you think that with a piece of player grade gear like this, you should just leave it the way it is, even if the way that it is isn't the way that it came? You tell me what you think. Stay tuned. I've got some other really cool gear and some other cool videos planned, and I'll see you on the next one.